Chances are, if you were a gamer back in the late 90s going into the early 2000s, there is a pretty good chance that you played a handheld gaming system. Now, we're not talking like a Steam Deck or a Switch or anything like that. We're talking about the old days where we had Game Boys, Game Boy Colors, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo 3DS, just the DS itself. Pretty good chance that you've played those, or you've at least heard of them. I'm not sure if any of our younger viewers have, but regardless, those were some really popular handhelds back in the day. They weren't necessarily consoles because they were never going to give you the same power that we could get out of things like the PS2, the Xbox, the GameCube, anything like that. But Nintendo basically ran the handheld systems. And then eventually down the road, we did start to see things like the PSP and the PS Vita, which Sony just seemed to want to get rid of super fast. I'm not sure why. I mean, there were definitely some benefits to them, and a lot of it was actually pretty cool. Honestly, in my personal opinion, I think the reason that those handhelds did not do too well is simply because that we did not see a good amount of games for them that you'd actually want to play on there. Not to mention, again, trying to convince people to buy a brand new handheld and everything, or a brand new system with brand new games, not to mention that those also needed to have SSD cards on them and everything like that. So it was, at that time, it was a big ask. Fast forward to today now, and it's almost the norm. We have the Nintendo Switch, we've got the Steam Deck, we've got the Asus ROG RRG, I believe is what it's called. We've got there's a Logitech handheld, there's an MSI one, and as the latest rumors are showing us, Sony is planning a new handheld that is not their PlayStation Portal. The PlayStation Portal simply either streams games from your PlayStation 5, or you can go through their cloud beta service that was just updated as of a couple weeks ago. And Xbox themselves is looking to have a handheld of their own. The question is there enough space in the market for that many handhelds? 4 of which are basically handheld PCs, which have been taking off extremely well. You have the Switch, aka the best handheld that a lot of people most likely have, seen the sales and everything. And not to mention the fact that we have the Switch 2 coming up, or Switch Pro, or whatever it's going to be called. So that's going to be something in the market there. Are Sony and Xbox too late to the party once again? I feel like when I look at this particular situation right here, it's like looking at the motion controllers that they had for both PlayStation and the Xbox Kinect, right? We saw it with the Wii, where the Wii had these motion controls and everyone loved them. Then again, it was mostly for casuals and everything. Not saying casual gaming is bad, but regardless. But then you had the PlayStation Move, I believe it was called, the little like controller with a ball on top of it. And then you also had the Kinect, and pretty much nobody cared about them. Yeah, you had some people who thought it was a cool idea and maybe they could do some things with it down the line, but overall, most people did not really care about those particular motion controls. So we are actually kind of seeing that now today, where we have handhelds, actual big gaming handhelds, portable PCs as some will call them, portable, your portable Nintendo console essentially, where we have the Switch and we have those PCs now. Can PlayStation and Xbox make actual handhelds that you can locally play your games on those platforms? So again, this is not the PlayStation Portal. And is it going to sell well in a market where there's already a lot of choice and everything like that? If you had to actually personally ask me, I'm going to say I don't think either are going to do too well. Just because, again, it's something that is just taking a little bit too long to get here. Not to mention the fact that we know Xbox is going full multi-platform. So whether you can already play all your Xbox games for the most part on mobile type devices using their apps and everything. Whereas with PlayStation, you either have to have the PlayStation Portal to again stream it or use their cloud service. But they are also most likely making the PlayStation 6 going forward. So are you telling me that they're going to have a PlayStation 6 in the future? Let's just say 2028, PlayStation 6, and some kind of PlayStation handheld that is going to be able to play both those games, which we're going to start running into the fact of, so now developers have to make something for the powerful PlayStation 6, most likely the PlayStation 5, so PlayStation 5 Pro is still going to be around, and now for a handheld, which is, there's no way the handheld is going to be more powerful than even base PlayStation 5. There's absolutely no way. I mean, we already have seen the leaks and the rumors when it comes to the Switch 2/Switch Pro is going to be about the size in terms of power specs for the PS4, hopefully with some of that DLSS technology from NVIDIA because of the Tiger chip that they're going to be using and everything. I personally don't think either Sony or Xbox are really going to be able to grab some huge section of the market when it comes to a portable handheld device, especially because, again, when it comes to the Xbox side of things, you can play a lot of those Xbox games already portably on the current handhelds that are available, bar the Switch, obviously. The Switch has all of its exclusives, and Nintendo was the first one to come out with it, really, so that's why it's doing so well, and plus it's just Nintendo. Whatever they do just seems, for the most part, to work out, not counting the Wii U. I don't think the PlayStation and Xbox stuff is really going to work out. But as always, we got to start asking people around about this stuff, which is why, of course, I always bring on our old friend Lemon, is joined by us once again. Lemon, what are your personal thoughts? Do you think this is actually going to work out? If these rumors are to be believed or it's being claimed, and let's just say, for example, I'm going to give you a timeline right now. 2028, Xbox and PlayStation both have a brand new handheld coming out that you can locally play the games on there. Does it actually succeed? Or do you think it's going to be a flop? Let me know your thoughts.
So first, you brought in the wrong guest. I don't really like handheld games anymore because I'm an adult. But no, I really hate to bring up this whole everything and their brother is an Xbox thing. Mm-hmm. However, I think that is kind of the way things are going to go with the push, for better or for worse, of cloud gaming, of streaming gaming becoming a thing, whether we want it to become a thing or not. I just think that as a whole, the console, as we understand it, is kind of going to go away. I think that both Microsoft and Sony saw how explosive the Switch was and think, well, we are seeing a kind of diminishing returns on how fast x86 consoles have been, namely the Series X and the PS5, PS5 Pro, and how amazingly intensely crazy Apple Silicon has been in terms of just performance and horsepower. I don't know. I feel like I think what's going to happen is we're going to start seeing a convergence. We're going to start seeing more people chasing the Switch. Mm-hmm. I think Sony, as much as I don't want to say it, I think the portal may have gone to Sony's head, and I'm concerned that they're going to go all in on another handheld to then not have it sell well and then let it die on the vine like they did the Vita.
Right, yeah.
With a lot of games on there that, we're going to get stuck there again. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I mean, I think long story short, I don't know. I think it's too early. You mentioned 2028. I think we'd probably have a better idea of what's going to go happen in the next couple of years. But I think what's likely going to happen is Sony's going to go back into it. But I'm really hoping it's more of a case of something more along the lines of a ROG Ally and less, a Vita. I want to be open. I want to at least play things that aren't just Sony things. However, I do also kind of am of the mind that when Sony does inevitably release their next handheld, that'll also be the same time they release the Sony launcher for PC gaming. Oh
yeah, that PC launcher that's been rumored for quite a while.
And they would just kind of coalesce into making a PC launcher no one wants into their handheld. So it's like, it's a PC, guys. It works. It's great. But you have to use our launcher, and it has like 25 games on it, or however many few games are going to work on the launcher. I don't know. I think it's too early to tell. I think that we are kind of in the I'm trying to think of the right word for it. We're in the infant stage, for lack of a better phrase, for this kind of PC / handheld world we're going to be living in. Because I don't think either Microsoft or Sony want to do anything other than like a ROG Ally or a Steam Deck. I don't think either of them. Sony might be egotistical, but 100% Microsoft is not. It would not surprise me if they try to make like a special version of Windows to make like a mobile.
Oh, I could easily see them trying to do something that with Windows, especially like they're.
Yeah.
It's not the first time Xbox or Microsoft, I should basically say, has tried to get Windows onto something that clearly it's not made for. I mean, if I remember correctly, back on it was either the original Xbox or the Xbox 360, where Microsoft really tried to get Windows, or the equivalent, I think it was XP at the time, onto that system, and luckily they fought against it, whoever was making the Xbox at the time. But Microsoft is known to want to get Windows onto literally everything, which again, I get it. They're a software, distribution.
Well, so it's funny, just as a nerdy little tidbit, and as because I'm an old man, I know this shit now. The reason why it's called the Xbox is because it was originally called the Direct Xbox.
Right, yeah, I do remember that, yeah.
And so it originally ran Windows. And so and there's also ignoring that little tidbit, they've been trying to get Windows to run on ARM processors for a long time, and Snapdragon really kind of went nowhere. The Qualcomm Snapdragon kind of attempt at going after Apple Silicon.
Right.
Yeah, so like I 100% think they're just gonna make a scaled down Windows to run on a handheld, and that's gonna be their Xbox handheld. I don't think it would really require Xbox to do a whole lot of Microsoft to do a whole lot of work to make it work for them. In fact, it would not surprise me if they just teamed up with, say, MSI or Gigabyte or one. As I don't think, obviously, Valve wouldn't give a shit about this. They don't want to get in the bed with Microsoft. They don't like Microsoft a whole lot. And I don't think Asus would, because Asus is Asus and they're egotistical.
Yeah, I was say, you think Sony is egotistical? Welcome to their little brother, Asus.
Asus is next level, man. Like even Ken Kutaragi wouldn't be as egotistical as Asus. Yeah. So I think it'd probably be like MSI or Gigabyte or ASRock.
Well, I could see Gigabyte or ASRock. Yeah, I could see that potentially.
Yeah. I think they could team up, and then Microsoft would make a special slimmed down version of like Windows 11 to run on this handheld. I can see that happening.
I could see that happening.
I just don't see where Sony's end game is with a handheld. Like they've been burned so many times in the Western market, which is their main market at this point. I just don't see where they see their kind of making out.
It's interesting because when the PlayStation Portal was originally announced, like everyone bashed on it. Was just like, there's no way this is going to do well. I mean, it's literally supposed to stream from there, and yet surprisingly, it has done well. And then especially with their latest updates.
Has it done well, or is it just sold out? Those are two different things. I don't think Sony put the effort into manufacturing these. So it's potentially
they come back. So I can't speak for the West, but for over here in certain Asian countries, they'll get restocked on Amazon, on your equivalent of the Best Buy over here in Japan and everything. And within a couple weeks, they're sold out. And then they'll be sold out for a while. They'll get a new shipment, and then they're sold out again afterwards. So
That's not necessarily saying it's selling well. It just means they're not making enough.
Well, Sony has come out during their conferences and everything, or their earnings calls, and they have said it sells well. So, granted, we don't know how much profit they are actually getting, but if they are selling, so maybe that's enough. Well, and then not to mention, I know that they saw an increase in sales when it came to that PlayStation Plus update, which if you are I almost said premium member, no duds, PlayStation Premium, whatever the highest tier is, or whichever tier allows you for cloud streaming, it might be the it might be the middle one, or it might be the highest one. I don't remember exactly, but that now allows you to opt into their cloud beta streaming, so that whatever games they have on that, you can just simply stream directly to the PlayStation Portal, and you do not need a PlayStation 5 as long as you've got the account.
They should have done originally, honestly.
They should have, yeah. I mean, to be honest, and from what I hear, the PlayStation cloud streaming is actually pretty good. Like the only thing that beats it, to my knowledge right now, is the NVIDIA one.
Yeah,
from what I've heard.
Quickly nosediving just because no one wants to play with NVIDIA
which is sad anymore. Because it was so good for a while, and now all of a sudden it's nosediving for some reason. So,
well, I think it's a mixture of NVIDIA's not playing ball with the publishers, and the publishers just don't want to deal with it anymore.
Yeah, that's true. I wouldn't be surprised.
Good tech, bad business kind of thing.
Well, I mean, we've been seeing that with NVIDIA because they've been going full on into the AI side of things. Regardless,
that's good business, though. Good business.
It is good business, technically. Well, until it all crashes. Yeah. But regardless, anyway, I don't know where PlayStation goes with this, because again, if supposedly, according to them, if the PlayStation Portal has been selling well, and this cloud streaming update is doing wonders for them, and it actually does sell more units and everything, why not just improve what the PlayStation Portal is with improving your cloud service? That way, you don't have to try playing or getting some new mobile device that you'll inevitably just can and forget about, just like you did with the PlayStation Vita and the PlayStation Portal. Like, why not do that? Or the PSP, sorry, the Portal is currently what's available right now. So why not do that? That way you also don't limit the games that can go onto it and then are stuck there. Because as much as, people are like, wait, what games are on the PSP or on the Vita and everything? There are some games on there that are still stuck there. I mean, heck, one of them that up until about a year and a half ago was actually Crisis Core, which is not a Sony first-party game, but it was stuck on there with Square's games, and then they finally got it onto modern systems everywhere. But that was because Square decided to do that, and it also helped out with what they're doing with the remake project and everything. Whereas with Sony, there's still some first-party stuff on there that has not come over to any consoles, and it's just stuck there. So why not? So in my head, at least, again, I'm not the business guy or anything, but why not just simply improve what the Portal is and improve your cloud stuff? As much as I don't personally like cloud gaming, clearly there is a market for it there, and you have the system for it. So why not go with that? But again, it's hard to say what's going to happen. I don't think either of them are really going to do well. Xbox is going to have to fight tooth and nail to go against things like the Steam Deck, the Asus version of that, the Logitech one, the MSI one that are already out and everything, and are most likely going to have updates in, I would say, 4 to 5 years themselves. And Sony, what, you're going to try and fight the Switch? Good luck. There's a reason the Switch is still popular and I say powerful, but why it does so well and everything. So I think on Xbox's side, I don't personally think they need one, but again, there could be people who disagree with that. Sony, don't even try making a new one. Just update your Portal, essentially. Call it the Portal 2, whatever you want to call it, and make your cloud service even better. Basically make it what NVIDIA should have continued on, but obviously it's nosedive now. Do that, and you could find yourself a market there, no problem. The thing that they need to do, though, is they need to get more games onto that service, though, because right now the cloud service is only based on, I think, like 50 games or something like that. So as long as they do that, they should be good to go. But until then, we're just gonna have to wait and see. So I think we're both on the same page, though, that probably is not going to do the greatest, but time will tell, and we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen there.